I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job. A nasty person.
King Charles stepped into the story right after Trump's UN speech and turned it into a political earthquake. Trump's words were simple. London has a terrible, terrible mayor. The room froze. Delegates stopped moving. Translators paused mid-line. Then the king spoke about safety in London. No names, no politics. Just timing said everything. Two leaders, one message, and one mayor suddenly cornered. I watched the clip back, and you can feel the silence. Every diplomat looks around like someone just insulted the host country at its own dinner party. It wasn't bluster anymore. It was exposure. Trump didn't name stats. He didn't need to. Everyone watching already knew London's crime headlines. The knife attacks, the robberies, the tension in the streets. When he said terrible mayor, people didn't think about controversy. They thought confirmation. By the time he left the podium, every news outlet on the planet had the clip queued up. CNN looped it. Sky News analyzed it frame by frame. And then came the twist nobody saw coming. Buckingham Palace moved. Not with gossip, with an official statement. King Charles, of all people, speaking publicly about concerns over safety in London. The timing couldn't have been tighter. Days after Trump's UN broadside, Britain's own monarch quietly echoed the same theme. That's when everyone realized this wasn't just an American headline anymore. This was a domestic earthquake. The reaction in Westminster was instant chaos. Labour MPs ducked cameras. Tory aides started grinning. The press room at Parliament sounded like a sports stadium after a goal. Nobody knew if it was a coincidence or coordination, but either way, it looked terrible for Khan. Trump hits him from New York. The king echoes the sentiment from Buckingham Palace. And suddenly, London's mayor is standing alone between the two most powerful public figures in the English-speaking world. Charles didn't even need to mention a name. That was the beauty of it. Safety in London was all it took. Britain's tabloids didn't hesitate to fill in the blanks. The Daily Mail went with royal shockwave. The Telegraph, monarch sides with Trump. Even the BBC, always cautious about royal commentary, wrote, King Charles raises concerns over London's leadership. That one word, leadership, cut deeper than any political slogan. Because leadership is exactly what Londoners feel they haven't seen in years. The hashtags started flying before Parliament even met the next morning. Charles backs Trump, Atanan Khan humiliated, Atala London crisis, all trending. But what made it worse for Khan was who was posting them. Not trolls, not bots, regular Londoners, parents talking about unsafe parks, taxi drivers posting about passengers scared to ride at night. For once, the outrage didn't look manufactured. It looked organic. People were venting what they'd already felt. Only now they had royal validation. Inside Parliament, Labour members sat frozen while Conservatives whispered jokes across the aisle. You could almost see the panic set in. A single palace statement had turned the party's star mayor into a liability. Reporters shouted questions that no one dared answer. Was the king siding with Trump? Did Buckingham Palace coordinate with Washington? None of it mattered. The optics were already locked in. Then came the hard data that everyone had been ignoring. Knife crime up 15%. Violent robberies up 22%. Tourism down. Business owners complaining of lost customers after dark. The numbers told the same story Trump told in one brutal sentence. And now, the king's voice made it official. Labour couldn't spin it. They couldn't hide behind messaging anymore. The problem was measurable, and it was theirs. By the time Starmer stepped up for Prime Minister's questions, the air in the chamber felt radioactive. He dodged. Once, twice, 3 times. Each dodge televised, each one replayed on social media. When your own party leader refuses to defend you, that's not strategy, that's abandonment. Khan tried to fight back, and that's when everything imploded. Instead of addressing the crime numbers, he went on a rant about Trump, claimed the king had been misled, accused the right-wing press of exaggerating danger. It was the political version of shouting into the wind. You could practically see the advisors behind the cameras shaking their heads. This wasn't damage control, it was denial. By midday, broadcasters had built the perfect visual metaphor. On one side of the screen, Khan, red-faced and defensive. On the other, Charles, calm, steady, talking about public safety with measured language. It wasn't even a contest. Every household watching knew who looked like a leader and who looked cornered. Then the numbers started to confirm the feeling. YouGov's fresh poll dropped, and it was brutal. 44% of Londoners agreed with the king's remarks, but the killer stat sat lower down the chart. 29% of Khan's own 2021 voters now said they sided more with Charles and Trump than with their own mayor. That's not erosion. That's collapse. When nearly a third of your base crosses the street, you can't spin that as media bias. That's voters deciding you no longer represent them. Meanwhile, Labour insiders leaked that 3 of their MPs had told Khan privately to stop fighting Trump and start fixing crime. Translation: even allies had stopped pretending. In politics, once the whispers start, the end isn't far behind. And just as Khan tried to catch his breath, another hit arrived. According to some reports on youth safety in urban areas. Perfect timing, or terrible, depending on where you stood. The reports listed rising violence, gang concerns, and a decline in trust towards city leadership. Everyone connected the dots instantly. It didn't name him. It didn't have to. The message was clear. The monarchy had just doubled down. Social media turned completely. Khan out wasn't being pushed by politicians anymore. It came from ordinary users posting stories of fear and frustration. A mother from Hackney wrote, "When Trump and King Charles both say London is unsafe, maybe we should stop laughing and start demanding answers." 250,000 likes. That's not partisanship, that's a movement. For years, Khan's tactic was mock and dismiss. Treat Trump as a joke, wave off critics as extremists. But now that tone looked pathetic. You can't laugh off a monarch. You can't meme your way out of record crime numbers. The same sarcasm that once made him look sharp now made him look detached. The spiral accelerated. Khan's approval rating sank 7 points in 4 days. Confidence in London's safety dropped to its lowest level ever recorded. You could almost watch his career graph fall in real time. These weren't opinion swings. These were exit signs. If you're watching this unfold and wondering how deep this goes, hit subscribe right now. Because what's collapsing in London isn't just a mayor's career. It's the illusion that anyone's still in control. By the weekend, the numbers told the story better than any headline could. 3 Labour MPs had already gone public, saying Khan needed to stop fighting Trump and start fixing crime. That wasn't political strategy. That was self-preservation. When your own side starts sounding like the opposition, you're finished. By Sunday, the mood online had flipped completely. Khan out was no longer a fringe campaign. It was everywhere. Parents, nurses, students, small business owners, all posting the same message. We don't feel safe anymore. One tweet from a London nurse went viral. If the king can see the problem, if Trump can see the problem, and my neighbors can see the problem, why can't the mayor? That single post got hundreds of thousands of likes and started a chain reaction. This wasn't a political hashtag anymore. It was civic frustration. The numbers caught up fast. Khan's approval rating collapsed by 7 points in 4 days. Confidence in London's safety dropped to record lows. News anchors called it the fastest political freefall since Boris Johnson's lockdown scandal. Every new poll looked like another obituary. And then came the Sunday morning disaster. Khan appeared on BBC's flagship politics show, desperate to recover. The host asked one question that should have been simple. Setting aside Trump and the King, are you satisfied with London's crime trends? What followed was 4 minutes of televised panic. Khan mentioned Trump 11 times, Charles 3, and never once answered the actual question. The clip went viral by noon. Millions watched it, and the verdict was instant. He looked evasive, unprepared, and painfully out of touch. Even his friends couldn't save him. Owen Jones, one of Labour's most loyal defenders, wrote a brutal column saying Khan needed to stop making it about Trump and start making it about London. When your own media allies start sounding like critics, the floor is gone. The Conservatives didn't waste a second. For months, they'd avoided aligning too closely with Trump. But now, they didn't need to. They had something far more powerful, King Charles's words. Tory MPs filled the airwaves repeating one line: "If Labour can't keep London safe, how can they keep Britain safe?" It worked. It was simple, brutal, and impossible for Labour to counter. Inside Labour headquarters, panic spread like wildfire. Advisors begged Starmer to issue a show of support for Khan. He refused. That silence spoke louder than any statement. It meant the leadership had already written Khan off. In politics, when your boss stops defending you, the countdown has begun. Outside Westminster, the fallout hit real life. Protests, community meetings, endless interviews with Londoners saying the same thing. They didn't trust City Hall anymore. For years, Khan had built his brand on moral outrage and clever comebacks. But now the anger wasn't from Twitter trolls, it was from voters. The same people who'd given him 2 victories were now openly calling for him to resign. The press followed fast. The Telegraph's front page screamed, "Khan's leadership in question." The Daily Mail ran, "London deserves better." Even The Guardian, normally friendly to Labour, headlined, "Mayor faces crisis of confidence." 3 papers, 3 ideologies, 1 message: he was done. According to some other reports, public confidence in safety had collapsed. 67% of Londoners now avoided certain areas after dark. Tourist visits to central London were down 8%. Small businesses reported customers staying away because of fear. These weren't theories. These were measurable facts, backed by the city's own data. The evidence was too big to bury. And just when it couldn't get worse, the King spoke again. While visiting a youth center in East London, Charles told a group of students, "Every citizen deserves to feel safe in their community. Leadership is not about ignoring concerns, but about listening and acting. No names, no politics, just precision." The cameras captured it perfectly. The applause, the smiles, the calm authority. It was the image Khan dreaded most. A respected monarch stepping into the vacuum of leadership his mayor had left empty. By midweek, the damage had spread beyond London. National headlines warned Labour that Khan's implosion could drag down their entire campaign. Tory strategists saw an opening and turned it into a national slogan. If Labour can't even keep London safe, how can they keep Britain safe? Every interview, every poster, every soundbite repeated that line until it became gospel. Social media amplified the collapse. #Khan finished trended globally. The posts weren't angry rants. They were everyday stories, Shopkeepers talking about break-ins, parents scared of late trains, tourists canceling trips. Real people describing real problems that politicians pretended didn't exist. That authenticity made the collapse unstoppable. Morning shows stopped debating whether Charles broke royal protocol. They stopped debating whether Trump was being unfair. The question turned sharp and simple. Is Sadiq Khan fit to lead London? Callers phoned in from across the UK. Most said no. Some said absolutely not. Nobody said yes. Even Labour insiders started leaking. One told the Telegraph, "We warned him to focus on crime. He wouldn't listen. Now he's finished." Another added, "Trump didn't destroy Khan. Khan destroyed himself." The media grabbed those quotes like gold and ran them non-stop. Each new front page made the same point. This wasn't a foreign attack. It was self-inflicted collapse. By Thursday, the narrative was locked. The monarchy looked dignified. Trump looked vindicated. The Tories looked strategic. And Khan looked like the one politician who managed to pick a fight with both a king and a former president, and lose to both. Charles's calm tone gave the story legitimacy that no government spin could erase. It wasn't about partisanship anymore. It was about credibility. People believed the king because he sounded like the adult in the room. Meanwhile, Khan's endless deflections made him sound like the teenager arguing with reality. The final numbers from the London Assembly landed like a closing argument. Public trust down, crime perception at an all-time high, economic confidence in city centers falling, tourism sliding, business investment cooling, the image of London as a proud, safe capital fading fast. By Friday, the debate had shifted completely. It wasn't about Trump's words or Charles's tone anymore. It was about what kind of leadership London even had left. Across radio shows and TV panels, the conclusion was the same. Khan had lost legitimacy. And once legitimacy goes, everything else follows. That's how quickly it can happen. One speech in New York, one royal statement in London, and an entire political empire collapses.